For months now, really for years, we've been planning for this election. A lot has taken place. Chaos and conflict comes, and to be honest with you, we said there probably would be a black swan event. Now, there's been a lot of trials at that. Think about how much maybe the global elites have pushed towards us. I mean, attempts on former president's life, lawfare, all this new strains here, this new bacteria here, this new pandemonium with climate here. We said there'd be a black swan event. I want you to listen to what Yuval Harari says, the second in command when it comes to the WEF. And then I think this will help us as we go through this video. He said, if Trump becomes president again in 2024, it will be the final death blow in the global order. Now, what does that mean? It could be just his opinion. I mean, a lot of people have opinions. I think it would be really bad if Kamala gets president. But when we're seeing people just aggressively push against this man and this movement, this conservative movement, the black swan events will come. Well, there's a new one, and actually it's just a new version, a more deadly version of what we've already talked about. Let's dive in today of a new outbreak. Well, it's an old outbreak, but again, somehow it mutates and gets worse. We'll talk about it today. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to our channel, we humbly ask that you give us a like if you like today's video. Also, subscribe to the channel. We always have something new coming up each and every day if it deals with prepping, homesteading, sustainable living, or just simply current events. And as we try to navigate this crazy world that we live in, sometimes common sense and wisdom is all we need to make sure our family is safe. Now, today we're going to be talking about Mpox. Now, what is Mpox? Well, Mpox is just monkeypox, but it seems like it's monkeypox that's now grown to something exponentially worse. Noodles on the wall. If we throw noodles on the wall, we can throw 100 noodles on the wall and maybe one or two will stick. Well, I think we've tried everything, or we, again, have not, but the players at B have tried everything to take our mind off electing the former president to be the new president, 24. Everything has went in his favor, even though the crazy things that they've thrown at him. We talked about the attempt on his life. I mean, just yesterday, his plane almost went down. Just yesterday, he was hacked through his Microsoft account, and they got information on J.D. Vance. Now, who hacked him? I don't know. They're saying Iran. Just last week, we saw another information where it shows a second attempt on his life. There's a lot going on. I mean, lawfare, that keeps on going on. It seems like, to me, that they need a black swan event. And that black swan event will help them, I'm not saying change the election, but I think it helps them control different parts and aspects of the election. Well, today we're going to be talking about this serious outbreak in Africa. Now, just like we talked about for the last 4 to 5 years on all these situations, sometimes it could be the fact that it's dangerous. Sometimes it cannot be. Sometimes it may be completely natural. Sometimes it may not be. But the thing is, it's the panic and fear around the situation and the fact that we don't get a good common sense approach to how we face the things that we face. The reason we talk about prepping and making sure that we have the needs, go back to the stockpile videos, is so we're not faced with this uncertainty to make it where we have to depend on running to the store every day to pick up things that we should have already had in our pantry and our preparedness supplies. Well, today we're going to be talking about just that. It's something that you should be looking forward to. Again, this is another noodle thrown on the wall. If it sticks, how dangerous will it be? New report from Zero Hedge says, is the much deadlier strain of Mpox going to be the next global health scare? Should we be alarmed? And this is from Michael Snyder. It says, many of us have been watching the spread of this deadly new strain for quite some time now. And now it appears that the crisis is reaching a boiling point. It says that it is being reported to the WHO that this is an emergency meeting that needs to determine how dangerous this is for the public. How rapidly this is spreading in Africa. Now, if you remember just a few months ago, even to a few years ago, this came up and it seemed like it was affecting one group of individuals that definitely was probably not conservative. I mean, if you get what I'm saying. But now you're starting to see this spread against children. Third world countries are seeing this go crazy when it comes to rapid spread. Now, some of these same countries are the ones that they've done all these testing of mosquitoes, all this testing of different strains of things. I'm telling you, I think that if we went back and saw truly what was going on with science, some of this may surprise us if we really found out the origins of these things. But I digress. Let's keep on going. It says, could we see another spread, and are we on the verge of another health scare worldwide? 2 years ago, an outbreak of Mpox quickly spread all over the planet, and now it's becoming even worse. Mpox is a viral disease that is caused by painful rashes, flu-like symptoms. Man, those flu-like symptoms are everywhere, aren't they? And a fever, headache, and body aches. The virus that causes it is from the same family as smallpox. It spreads from person to person, from animal to people, through direct contact. In May, scientists report the new strain came out across the Congo. Right now, if you somehow got infected with this strain, there is a good chance that you would be in so much pain that you would rather die. Now, this is from not some Fauci kind of guy. This is from just a reporter stating what he has seen. Right now, if you got infected, your pain would be almost intolerable. Unfortunately, now they're saying it's growing and getting more deadly. Now, before this last strain, it was all by sexual contact. It only spread in those ways. Now, it's physical contact. This new deadly strain is if you're around someone and you graze upon them. So it is now mutated to a point where it can spread a lot easier than what they thought before. Now, how did it mutate? How did this new strain come up? I honestly believe these viral loads are dangerous. And I don't know if it's God's natural world that's doing it because of our craziness and what we do in the world and how we have this God complex, or us as man do stupid things with trying to develop science, and what we do is we actually develop something that's going to harm us all. The CDC says the alert in the outbreaks of some provinces in the Democratic Republic of Congo has been associated with physical contact. In other parts of the country, however, patients just got sick by being around infected animals and around infected people. Most reported cases is known as an endemic because of the location versus it spreading, but the WHO is scared of how we move around the globe, how people go back and forth. Are we going to see the spread like we did in 2020? And here's where you get to that point. It says there had been hopes that we kept the outbreak to just simply this DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo. But that didn't happen. At this point, it is confirmed that there's 4 other nations that has been direct borders of the Congo, whereas people crossed over and didn't know they were infected, and all of a sudden now it is spreading. The WHO says the virus has now spread to previous unaffected provinces. In the past month, at least 50 Mpox cases have been reported from these other countries bordering the DRC, so they have not been able to keep it relatively contained. So now, what are we going to do? What are they going to do? What is our next plan as we deal with something like this virus? Well, that's why they're actually having this emergency meeting. They're talking about declaring a public health emergency. Now, again, here's where I want to stop just for a second. I will have several people in this video say, this is fake. It's all ridiculous. This is a non-event. And I hope you're right. The fear and panic around that, there's still people wearing 2 masks today. So don't think that people are not foolish enough to believe something if it's not real. But now I'm going to talk about the flip side. What if it is real? And yes, it could be natural. It could be something that man developed. Either way, it could be dangerous for us. And then the repercussions of being proactive and maybe building something, if you know what I mean, to it, to fix it, we saw how a lot of that caused adverse reactions and problems from the last situation. So at this point, I always come back to the basics. Do we know if it's real or not? No. So what do? We build insurance so we prepare ourselves to face anything that comes our way. So when we think about something like viruses, when we think about something like getting sick, how do we face that? Well, we clean up our diets. We try to be more aerobic. We try to make sure that our systems are getting the very best. We make sure that we're building our immunity up, and that's, again, good foods, good herbal remedies, and making sure that we're taking maybe tinctures or are things to put in our body that is not bad for us, like bad food or fast food or processed garbage. So we're trying to develop those things, and then on top of that, if it becomes a health scare and we see that government becomes a little bit more excessive to where we can't go and buy, so therefore we should go ahead and purchase some of these things and stockpile OTC meds, emergency meds. Remember, viruses kind of have to work their course, but sometimes when we have medicines or herbal remedies, it helps us get through and mitigates the problems that we may be facing while we're dealing with something natural or man-made. So let's pause just for a second and say it doesn't matter, and I've said this before, that if the outbreak is man-made or natural. It does not matter if it's going to affect you or not. If we're prepared, then we won't have the uncertainty and we won't have the fear that a lot of the world has. The CDC came out this week after this emergency meeting that they're taking place for the whole week, says that they want the United States to be on the lookout for new cases that will be coming in. The CDC on Wednesday alerted doctors to be on the lookout for this new strain of Mpox that is now coming from Africa that could honestly come straight into America. It says that the United States have already invested $424 million to try to help the Congo to keep it there and to control it there and to mitigate the problem. However, that's not helped. So again, $424 million of our money has went over there to try to contain it, and it's not worked. Now, here's the question, and this guy brings up a good point. He says, do they anticipate this to be confirmed cases in the United States? Needless to say, such developments would be very alarming to millions of people because it is not what the older strain was where it had to be through, relational contact, if you know what I mean. It is now by being around infected individuals, touching infected individuals that you didn't know that were going to infect you. Now listen to this. This is where it gets very serious when I talk about noodles on the wall. Interestingly, the CDC is also instructing Americans to stay away from animals, to stay away from county fairs with animals because of all the other concerns with the avian flu. So now you have two situations that are keeping us away from livestock and animals for quote-unquote our safety. Now, I think what this is here is, if it's real or not, this could be the play to where they can utilize it to control the food a little bit more. Now, we're not going to go any deeper in that because that's not the point of this video, but think about how manipulated your food would be if you could not sustainably grow your food or have a food grown from a farmer and you had to eat out of boxes all the time. It'd drop your immunity. You may chance getting sick more because you're not eating holistic, natural foods from the ground or from livestock. It could be really bad. Listen to this. It says organizers across the U.S. are working to ensure the events do not spread and do not have problems with this virus. Children under 5, people 65 and older, pregnant people, people of certain chronic medical conditions are the ones more at risk, just like you hear on any situation. So what do? We build up our immunity. We learn to eat holistically food. We make sure that we are aerobic, not anaerobic, to where we're just lethargic and lazy. We want to get ourselves on a better diet and better regimen each and every day. This is for any sickness. One thing that our family does not face, we get little coughs and sniffles, but we don't get really sick a lot because we have cleaned up our diet. Now, I will say this, when we go on a vacation or when we go out of town and we're not able to do those practices each and every day like we do on a typical basis, you'd be surprised how easy we could get sick because our immunity is not used to that. Our regimen is not used to that. So when we put garbage food in, we get garbage results. So therefore, if we keep garbage in our system, we don't build our immunity, you will face more problems no matter what sickness may be coming around, no matter if it's just the common cold. If we are not building our immunity and not taking care of ourselves with a good diet, we're going to face these problems anyway. So now let's go back to the very first thing I said. Harari said that Trump winning is just a no-go. We cannot allow that to happen because of the damage he did for the global movement back when he ran 2016 and won. Is this real or not? We don't know. So you prepare for it. Here's what I would say. Why do you think there's so much chaos, conflict with world events, with the way these countries are being overrun with migrants, the way that we see that there's attempts on people's life, the lawfare. Why do you think the wars are happening? What do you think all of this comes down to? Is there a bigger plan to where they don't want certain leaders to lead in America or lead across the world? At the same time, did you see the phenomenon with Kamala coming to power? It's unfathomable. It is like way more than Obama. The pandemonium around her, fake or not, they are literally going to vote for someone that does not even have an agenda, a quote-unquote agenda. They're going to vote for someone that has not even done an interview as a nominee. That's how quickly and how foolishly we can look at things and be brainwashed. The whole point of this Mpox talk is it could be very serious and we could have an outbreak and it could be dangerous. Or it could be simply a control element to where we don't know what's going on, but we allow the powers that be to manipulate certain situations. Either way, we have to keep our head above sand and not stick it in sand and just think, well, hey, this is not our battle, it's happening in the Congo. They've already warned that it's coming to America. Don't believe for a second that you will not see it on American shores in the next coming few days or weeks. Now, does that mean it's a danger to you? Maybe not. But if they can make enough states say it's a danger, they can make enough political leaders say it's a danger, then it will change the way that we look at November, because the way we vote, the way they will be able to utilize that to their advantage. So here's my thought pattern, and I'm going to end with this. 1, be smart, be wise, take this information, heed the warnings, but then say, okay, I'm going to make sure that I'm understanding what they're saying, but I'm not going to just drink the Kool-Aid for the heck of it. However, I want to do more research, and if I see this is dangerous and the strain is dangerous, no matter how it was formed, I want to make sure that I'm prepared against it. Number 2, I want to make sure that as I'm prepared against it, I'm also preparing my body for anything. We're going through fall and winter, which are always the sick times of the year for any individual, especially children and older adults and unhealthy people. So we need to build a regimen. I tell you all the time, it costs nothing to walk, to run, to do a HIIT workout, to start lifting weights. If you can't do all that, just simply walk your dog down the road and get that exercise in. We need to build an aerobic system to make sure that our bodies are producing and doing what they're supposed to do. So that also means cleaning up your diet. It's not about just weight loss. It's not just about trying to look trim and fit. It's about making sure our body is getting the very best nutrients it can. So we need to quit eating trash diets. So number 3 is you got to clean that diet up and get on meal prep. Part of meal prepping is making sure you have enough in your pantry. When uncertainty comes, when we have good diets, and we have a good stocked pantry with good food, we make sure that we are also being very active to make sure that our body is producing and acting like it's supposed to and not lazy and lethargic. And then we also are building wisdom and common sense to the information that we're giving. When we do those things, the fear, the panic, the pandemonium will not maybe affect us. Now, will it affect the world still or America? Absolutely. Again, people are still wearing double masks. So don't for a minute think that people won't be foolish enough to believe anything and everything that the noodles on the wall are telling us. But here's what I say. You can only take care of yourself and try to influence others and impact them in the way that you're living your life. So do these things. Have a friendly respect, research, understand, heed the warning, but learn from it and gain wisdom. Make sure you're cleaning up your diet. Make sure you're eating holistically and building your immunity to where it needs to be. And make sure that, again, you are staying active and you're not just laying around and depending on the doctors or the government or anyone else to take care of you. It's time to get up and move a little bit. And your body is meant to be in a moving state. Your body is meant to burn calories, burn fat, use sugar, use carbs. At the same time, we want to put in a good, healthy diet back to it. When we start doing that, our bodies become more healthy, and then we can face maybe sicknesses. At the same time, when our minds are healthy and we're building a good common sense approach and wisdom, then we can face it too, mentally. A lot of the mind tricks and a lot of the black swan events hurt us more mentally than it does physically because it stresses us. If we build a resistance against both physically and mentally, and then we add the spiritual element of making sure that we know that we can trust in God and know that it's going to be okay, then we're ready to face anything that's thrown at us. I think we're going to see a whole lot more before this election, because I don't believe they want to see the former president be the new president. And if they see him be the new president, or they see polls going his way, then I believe you're going to see the puppet that they have now really jump in the polls. And I believe you're going to see more black swan events to where she is going to have the advantage versus Trump. As I told you before, anytime we hear this, we heed the warning. Do we know if it's natural, man-made? Do we care if it's real or not? No. You prepare. You build resistance and insurance against it. You do the right things to have a respect for it. But then know, God's always in control. The wisdom that He gives us helps us, discern and have good discernment and get out there and help other people to be impacted and influenced the same way. Be safe out there. I'm scared that this is going to be just one of many things that they throw our way to hinder the next 100 days. We're within 100 days, people, of some major changes in America, one way or the other. Let me know your thoughts. God bless.